Okay, here we go. Just a little bit. There we are. Hello, everybody. Welcome to book study. And we are doing chapter 3 of The Charge. I hope you read this, and this chapter was chock full of information. So I'm going to do my best to give a good overview. And this is the drive for competence. And Brendan starts by saying, a person who doubts himself is like a man who would enlist in the ranks of his enemies and bear arms against himself. And that immediately made me think of the verse in James that says, if any of you lacks wisdom, let him ask from the Lord and believe that God's going to give it to him liberally. This is James 1, verses like 6, 7, and 8. And then it goes on to say, and you must believe that God's going to give it to you. But if you don't believe, you are like the waves of the sea, tossed to and fro, and you're not going to get anything, which is a pretty big statement, especially when it comes from God. He starts off by saying, when we feel confident, we are ready to tackle the world. We are bold. We want to set out into the unknown. We can adapt. We can learn. We can conquer fears. We meet challenges. We experience high emotions of success. We have confidence, and we're ready to master everything that comes into our path. And he talks about this competence-confidence loop. The more competence you have, the more confidence you feel in trying to tackle new things and take on bigger challenges. The more you do that, the more competent you feel, right? And we can see this in our businesses, right? Let me ask you, how confident do you think Brittany is in Plexus? How confident do you think that Christina is after her $2,000 shopping spree? After you've just signed up a business builder, how confident do you think you feel? Very. But the moment you begin feeling self-doubt is the moment you begin to feel self-defeat, right? We question everything. Can I do this? Is this business for me? Am I wasting my time? What the heck am I doing? And then we stop trying to learn, we stop growing, and we stop contributing. We stop doing all the things. We compare ourselves to others. When we don't measure up, we say, oh, what am I doing? I've lost it all together. And then everything feels unsurmountable. It's daunting, if not impossible. Okay? We have all felt those feelings. And even Brendan says it. We've all felt those feelings. And that is what we're going to deal with tonight. He says, let me put it to you this way. You want to give up, and we've all felt that way, okay? But in this age of social media and global information, we have so much learning at our fingertips, kind of like all the training we have at our fingertips. Let me see. Do I need to mute everybody? I think. Anyway, I don't know if you're not muted. Hold on, everybody. I'm sorry. Let me see if I can mute people. I don't know where that is. Have those feelings, but we have all these opportunities to learn, right? So let's talk about what is the definition of competence. The definition of competence, oops, I'm muted now all of a sudden. Okay, no, I'm not. Okay. The definition of competence, according to Bouchard, is to understand, perform, and master, okay? Understand, perform, and master. And if we have confidence that we can do these three things when we face these challenges and opportunities, then I feel competent, okay? And then you can use your skills to navigate what lies ahead. You can tackle these challenges, okay? So he gives these questions. Do you feel you have a firm grasp on your responsibilities? Do you feel that you're fully knowledgeable about what it takes to win in advance? Do you feel like you have the talent, skill, and ability to achieve your goals? Do you feel like you're mastering your job and functioning at a high level of excellence? Okay? He says this, your competence level determines what you will give attention to. When you don't feel competent, you tend to ignore the challenges and opportunities because you don't feel like you can handle them. Let me put this to you in Plexus terms. Do you feel like you'll be able to reach your goal? Do you feel that you can get the 10 joins with a $199 welcome pack to get that $1,000 bonus? Do you feel like you can successfully message people? Do you feel like you can successfully recruit and train business builders? Do you feel like you can master the 4 pillars of our business? Okay? And when your competence, your understanding in the way you feel and your attitude about these issues determines what you focus on. When you don't feel competent, like let's say you don't feel competent in raising up leaders, well, guess what? You're probably not going to have many business builders on your team, and you're going to shy away from that, right? Because your level of competence determines your choice of tasks and activities. If you don't feel like you can do it, you're always going to take the easier route. If you don't feel like you can get people to silver, guess what? You're never even going to plant those seeds. If you don't feel like you are competent in messaging people, guess what? You're going to spend all your time relationship building on Facebook and creating really beautiful posts instead of messaging people and starting conversations about Plexus. Your competence level determines your effort level. Hard workers believe they can create positive outcomes with their effort, so they try harder. Let me say that again. Your competence level determines your effort level. When you feel like you can do this, and when you have that belief, you work harder because your belief is solid. Here's the deal. I believe that what he's saying is competence is belief. What we talk about belief all the time. Because when you have rock solid belief, let me tell you what you're doing each day. You are messaging people each and every day except your Sabbath about Plexus. When you have rock solid belief, you are moving forward, and you are believing that you are attracting business builders to your team, and you are looking because you are expecting them to join your team. When you have rock solid belief, you cannot wait till December 14th because you're going to get that $1,000 bonus check in your pay portal, okay? Competence equals belief. He goes on to say your competence level, your belief, determines how adaptable and resilient you will be. This is amazing. Those who trust in their abilities to understand and perform and master their worlds are more willing to learn and adjust their courses if something isn't working. Pay attention here. They get up faster when they are knocked down. A fall is a lesson rather than a failure. Why? Because their competence, their belief, is rock solid. Your competence level, aka your belief, determines whether you will lead or follow. And I thought this was so interesting. He says that leadership is what is most needed today. He says that leaders are the ones who believe in themselves and their own abilities. Okay, my disclaimer, I believe in Jesus. I believe in Jesus's abilities much more than I believe in my abilities. And by the grace of God, I am where I am. And by the grace of God, I'm going to achieve my goals in his timetable, and I believe what he's doing through me. But here's the deal. Even as a Christian, even though I know it's by grace that I'm achieving all these things and doing all these things, he also tells me that the diligent work hard, and a man who is excellent will stand before kings. So I pray like it depends on God, but I work like it depends on me, okay? And those that have high belief, their actions will line up with their belief, because your belief will always dictate your behavior. That's the key, people. Your competence, aka belief, will always dictate your behavior. And those that want to learn and grow and increase in their competence and belief, to quote Brendan, says, will inherit the new world. And in my mind, that means we will get to where we want to go. We will achieve our goals. So then he goes on to say, how do we develop this competence? How do we grow this belief? And he gives all these activators. The first activator is to assess and direct your desire to learn. And I love what he says this here. He says, approach it with joy. Joy, that's my word. The more we learn, the more our neural pathways are strengthened, which leads to our ability to better anticipate and perform. And then dopamine is released. And guess what? Dopamine is a feel-good hormone. But guess what? what I take from that is that our overwhelming attitude, overarching attitude should be joy and gratitude, okay? He says, ask yourself, why are you not learning and growing and tackling these new tasks? And there are proven indicators that will help you. And this is what we talk about all the time. If you've heard Brittany say this once, you've heard her say it 100 times. You've got to be connected to your why. And then he goes on to talk about all these different, basically, I forget how he calls it, these checklists basically to make sure that we're doing what we're supposed to be doing. You know, is this connected to your future identity? Is this goal or activity, what you're learning, connected to who you want to be? Does it have intrinsic value for you? Is it personally motivating? Because research shows we are more motivated by intrinsic motivation than extrinsic motivation. What's your passion? What do you enjoy? Does what you're learning, does what you're doing have utilitarian value? Will you get something useful from it? Okay? What is the opportunity cost? If you take on this goal, what will you be missing out on? What have I missed out on? You know, what about delay time? How long do I have to wait before I experience the benefits of this? Personal control. How confident do you feel in your ability to control your actions and shape the outcomes of your life? You know, whatever you think about grows. So if you doubt yourself, you're probably not going to begin to learn. And do you have the social support and connection? Will people support you and give you direction and cheer you on? If you're part of Freedom Team, you better believe it. We will cheer you on and provide direction and be your support system. And your bandwidth belief. Do you have enough time and focus to do a good job learning this new activity, to develop that belief? Okay, remember, this is all about how do you develop your competence and belief, okay? So, is what you're doing fueling your competence and your belief, okay? And the last indicator he said was your autonomy. Will you have the ability to do what needs to be done? And in our business, you've got everything you need. You've got the training, you've got all of these things. The only thing that's going to stop you is your competence level. Okay, activator number 2. You've got to set a challenge for yourself, a new challenge, a real challenge that will build your belief. For example, we have this way challenge, right? He says, pick a short-term goal and do everything you need to do to achieve it. He says, you know, you only grow when you focus on a new challenge, and it's got to be a real challenge, one that involves a stretch goal that's not easy to accomplish. It has to be observable. I mean, you have to have somebody that's going to keep you accountable. And it's got to have a time element. It's got to have, you know, an end mark, a definitive starting point and a definitive stopping point. Give yourself short-term challenges that force yourself to learn new things, to have activity that's going to stretch you and push yourself. And he says, you will be glad you did because you will learn so much. We have this all the time, people. I mean, I feel like, anyway, our leaders could have written this chapter. And this is what he says: to achieve these goals, you've got to plan. You've got to plan. Without preparing, dramatic growth and mastery are impossible. Can you let that sink in? Without planning, dramatic growth and mastery are impossible. When do you do your IPA? When are you following up with your people? That's why these IPA checklists are so important. Plan out your time. Plan out who you're going to talk to. You can't just, you know, what is it? Without a plan, it's a plan, you're planning to fail. You've got to have a plan. And read everything you can. Watch videos, learn and grow. Why do you think the past couple months in our IPA chats, we've had you watch a training video? Because we've got to continue learning. And then the last tip he gives for this challenge is to get an unbiased coach that can support you with feedback and encouragement. Guess what? That's your upline. That's what we're here for, and that's what we love to do. Okay, activator 3, to build your competence and belief. Integrate success into your identity. Remember, whatever you think about grows. This is quantum physics, people. Do you remember our study on switch on your brain? Go back and review your notes. Naturally, we tend to focus on what we did not achieve, the people we didn't reach out to, what we didn't accomplish, what we didn't get to on our list. But if you continue to focus on that, guess what? That's going to grow. We've got to get into the habit of focusing on our successes and letting that grow. We rarely celebrate our successes, and it's so important to do so. I'll give you a little example. Monday for me, I'm going to be real, was one of those days. I mean, like, I just wanted to get in bed and call it quits. I mean, I was mean to my kids. I was ugly. It was just a bad day. My beliefs stunk. It was just one of those awful days that we all have. The next morning, we were at CC and we had our family presentation, which I completely forgot about. We planned it a half an hour before. You know, we had to get up and give this family presentation for a few minutes. And I was talking to Brittany and I said, you know, how awful the day was before, and I was complete mom fail and everything that I was doing was wrong. And she looked at me and she said, Michelle, nobody that saw that presentation would have thought that you were a mom fail and that you were a total train wreck like you feel like you are, because I felt like that. But I was being ruled by my feelings and dwelling on my negative and all the negative instead of looking at the successes, looking at these beautiful girls that God's given me. Look at the people that are in your back office that are doing well. Don't focus on the negative. Focus on what is going well and let that grow. I mean, can't you even just feel the shift in your emotions when you do that? If you watch that Sonia Dudley video, one of her, I mean, I almost had a revival when I saw that one comment, just reading the comment. You cannot afford the consequences of being ruled by your feelings, because your feelings more often than not will take you downhill instead of going uphill. So train your mind to focus on the success. Write down your accomplishments. Write down and focus on the ones that are doing great in your back office. Focus, meditate, think about what's going well, and guess what? That will grow. Close your eyes, he says, think about all you've done and say to yourself, I am growing, I am learning, and I am moving forward to my goal. He says, keep a journal to record this, because much of our competence comes in reflection about our lives, aka what you are thinking about. So, I've gone on a long time. Here's what I want to leave you with. Oh, he has questions at the ends. You know, think about this. One area I would have to develop more skill and competence if I'm going to make my dream future come true is, and this is what I would say, which one of those 4 pillars? Recruiting, retention, duplication, or leadership? And remember, with those 4 pillars, what's underpinning all of them? Your competence, aka belief. Is it your belief, or is it one of those 4 pillars? And then you do everything in your power to watch videos, read, you focus on that, and you let that grow in your mind, okay? Number 2, a 60-day speed learning challenge I'm going to give myself is, for me, I am messaging 20 to 30 people a day, because, listen, people, I'm going to be real. It's not just for this $1,000. It's for January, when everybody and their brother wants to get healthy. And that's going to be my biggest month ever. Okay? That's my goal. And this is why I'm in a 60-day challenge, because November, what you do now is going to carry over into your January and February. And then number 3, one of the ways I'm going to start celebrating my wins and integrating my successes into my identity is, what are you going to do? Pick out, get a journal and start writing down your successes and focus on that, because it's way too easy to focus on what you're not doing. And that's just a pathway down. I want to be on the pathway up, because the pathway down doesn't lead very good places, but the pathway up. So I'm a little fired up, but I want to hear from you guys. What did y'all think?
I think I picked the right person for this chapter. That's what I think. I'm feeling pretty competent about my delegating. You want to stop the recording?
Oh, yes, I will.